So, alright, decoding the sacred script, journey through the world of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now, okay, the structure technically is introduction. We will explain what writing is in principle as the notion, as definition, and we will talk about how we were able to solve the hieroglyphs as a code and why we were unable before and what are hieroglyphics, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, and then we'll focus on the name of the pharaohs. So the intention of this workshop is really for you to identify the name of the pharaohs, like and easily read them whenever you go to a museum or you are looking at the historical documents or whatever related to the ancient Egyptian civilization. The name of the kings get mentioned a lot. It was important and significant. So it's really common to find it in whatever relic you get normally. And it's important because I'll tell you why, as we go why the name of the king specifically is important for our understanding as well as for getting proper information about the product we have. So now, what's this in essence? What do you know about this?
Not much. It's sign language.
Yeah. So that's the hieroglyphs. And what is hieroglyphs? Where does that word come from? Hieroglyphs is technically a Greek word. And it is of two syllables, hiero and glyphs, which means the sacred text, technically. And why they say that it's a sacred text? Because they saw it on temples, they see that it's associated with God and kings, and it had this aura surrounding it. So they thought, yeah, it's sacred and it's a text, it's a script, and this is important. Hieroglyphs is not a language, it's a text. We'll talk about this further. Now, but when the Greek came to Egypt, the Egyptian civilization was already 3,000 years old. So by that time, we may have received a Greek kind of reflection on the Egyptian civilization, but later on we were able to decipher the language ourselves and we were able to read from the original sources, which is the Egyptian writings themselves. But why we were unable to decipher the hieroglyphs before, there is a reason. Now, well, when you look at this text, for instance, that actually from our book, it is from the West Star Papyrus. It's the first paragraph in the story. But let's leave that for later. By your own judgment or hunch, what do you think this is talking about? Just by looking at it.
Animals, but yeah, humans and birds.
Yeah. So what's the subject of the thing? Maybe farming? Animal farming?
Maybe like some sort of fable about how birds got their wings and fly and
That would be a story about you and
Yeah. So something relating to nature, to animals. What about this guy? What he's trying to tell us?
He's the king.
Maybe it's a person, it's a thing.
Father.
arrowing puzzle.
Yeah. He's pointing to his mouth and his leg, his foot. So yeah.
So he's sitting there.
Oh, he's sitting down and eating.
Yeah, not eating really, just pointing to his mouth.
Pointing to his mouth. And there he is again. There isn't he? No, that's him, but he's doing.
Repeats. Yeah, repeats. Some of those repeat. Okay. So what about this one? Why this one is?
Oval.
Yeah,
No,
why
I
it
don't-
is in circle? Like these symbols seems to be more important. Now I have to tell you that these hashes, these lines, are indicating that this is damaged, gone. This is like half destroyed, kind of. But we were able to identify what these symbols are. This one is safe. Like we received it in good shape. So, all right, let's leave this one for now, park it for now, and we'll come back to it. But you notice that there are some kind of in different symbols. So, alright, decoding the sacred script, journey through the world of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now, this one. Okay, this is the one. Okay, the structure technically is introduction. We will explain what writing is in principle as the notion, as definition, and we will talk about how we were able to solve the hieroglyphs as a code and why we were unable before, and what are hieroglyphics, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, and then we'll focus on the name of the pharaohs. So the intention of this workshop is really for you to identify the name of the pharaohs, like, and easily read them whenever you go to a museum or you are looking at the historical documents or whatever related to the ancient Egyptian civilization. The name of the kings get mentioned a lot. It was important and significant. So it's really common to find it in whatever relic you get normally, and it's important because I'll tell you why as we go why the name of the king specifically is important for our understanding as well as for getting proper information about the product we have. So so now, what's this in essence? What do you know about this?
Not much. It's sign language.
Yeah. So that's the hieroglyphs. And what is hieroglyphs? Where does that word come from? Hieroglyphs is technically a Greek word. And it is of two syllables, hiero and glyphs, which means the sacred text, technically. And why they say that it's a sacred text? Because they saw it on temples, they see that it's associated with God and kings, and it had this aura surrounding it. So they thought, yeah, it's sacred and it's a text, it's a script, and this is important. Hieroglyphs is not a language, it's a text. We'll talk about this further. Now, but when the Greek came to Egypt, the Egyptian civilization was already 3,000 years old. So by that time, we may have received a Greek kind of reflection on the Egyptian civilization, but later on we were able to decipher the language ourselves, and we were able to read from the original sources, which is the Egyptian writings themselves. But why we were unable to decipher the hieroglyphs before, there is a reason. Now, well, when you look at this text, for instance, that actually, from our book, it is from the West Star Papyrus. It's the first paragraph in the story. But let's leave that for later. By your own judgment or hunch, what do you think this is talking about? Just by looking at it.
Animals, birds.
Animals, but yeah, animals and birds.
Yeah. So what's the subject of the thing? Maybe farming? Animal farming?
Maybe like some sort of fable about how birds their wings and fly and
That would be a story that was you and
Yeah. So something relating to nature, to animals. What about this guy? What he's trying to tell us?
He's the king.
Maybe it's a person, it's a thing.
Father.
Yeah. He's pointing to his mouth and his leg, his foot. So yeah.
So he's sitting there.
Oh, he's sitting down and eating.
Yeah, not eating really, just pointing to his mouth.
Pointing to his mouth. And there he is again. There he is. And you know, that's him, but he's doing.
Repeats. Yeah, repeats. Some of those repeats. Okay. So what about this one? Why this one is?
Oval.
Yeah,
No,
why
oval.
it is in circle? Like these symbols seems to be more important. Now I have to tell you that these hashes, these lines, are indicating that this is damaged, gone. This is like half destroyed, kind of. But we were able to identify what these symbols are. This one is fake, like you received it the good shape. So, all right, let's leave this one for now, park it for now, and we'll come back to it. But you notice that there are some kind of different symbols, like these symbols within this shape.
On the left. That one. No, this in that oblong on the left, the left top one.
Yeah.
No, this the second one.
Fine.
There, that one. Is that horns of a bull like this?
That
one, yeah, that one.
This one is a hand holding a mask.
Hold the hand. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Alright, so we'll come back to this later. But just first impression, and this is what 200 years ago the puzzle we had. Like we look at this, we see them, what does that mean? We don't know. And that was only like literally 200 years ago, because we deciphered the hieroglyphs only in 1822, which was after 1,400 of forgetting the script. Because the last hieroglyphs that was written was almost in 400 AD in a temple in Egypt. After that, the language or the script got forgotten for 1,400 years. So that's the enigma of this culture and civilization and this script, because people had different ideas about it, and then many of them turned out to be inaccurate. So, in terms of, but as a start, we need to differentiate between, as I said, language and script. Like, you can have a single language that can be written in different scripts, and vice versa. You can have a single script that can be used in different languages. Like the Latin alphabet, for instance. You use the Latin alphabet to write different languages. And maybe people decide to change their script, their writing system. For instance, the Turks, they changed from Arabic alphabet to the Latin alphabet in 1924. So their language didn't change, stayed the same language, but the writing system changed. And that's important, the differentiation between the language and the script.
Can I ask why they changed? Why did it?
Well, political choice. Like at the time, they were more into advancement and getting detached from the old.
Separate themselves.
Yeah. Regeneration and getting into Europe and to Asia. Yeah. So that, but not only them, many other people did it as well. Like for instance, the Pakistanis, they adopted the Arabic text on the other hand. Or even the Turks themselves, before that, they used their own script. Then they adopted the Arabic text. Then they adopted the Latin. So they changed it twice, at least. That's what we know about it. Yeah. So that happens all the time. So different types of writings. Now, in terms of writing is depicting meaning. Like we need to kind of convey language in visuals. And there are different ways of doing it, and we still do it in different ways. This is what differentiates, for instance, English from Chinese. Chinese is not an alphabet. It's different system. So technically the scientists have, or linguistics, have categorized writing system into three main categories, which are the ideograms, the logographic systems or sectional systems, the segmental audio systems. Now, they are different. I'll explain how as we go. It's not that this is like the maximum we will get to. After that, we will be doing exercises and trying to solve things. So, but it's important for you to understand these principles at the start. So the ideograms, the sectional system, as well as the segmental audio systems. And Egyptian script is not different to this. It also went through the whole evolution process. And actually the order here is kind of chronological, because the ideograms is the oldest system we use. It still exists, but it's one of the it's the oldest system we use to convey language, to write the language. And writing language was a significant time in or moment in history because everything before writing is considered prehistory. So history started with writing, which was around 3,500 years BC, as we know now. Maybe older, but we haven't found any proof to say that otherwise. Now, in terms of the Egyptian writing itself, similar to other writings, it started as drawings in caves, and in addition to that, we were able to find some cards, ivory cards, in Abydos, which may have the first letters. That one is 3,200 years old, I think.
What's Abydos?
Abydos is a city in Egypt.
Oh, is it?
And
Oh,
it's part of the capital. It used to be the capital of Egypt.
what's the capital?
Capital,
Capital
city. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Mesopotamia is in modern day Iraq. See up there?
The Abydos, no, it's in Egypt. It's not in Iraq. No.
No, so what I'm saying is Mesopotamia. See where it says
Yeah.
Egypt and Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
That's
Mesopotamia is
Iraq.
current day Iraq. Yeah.
Carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the Nile and the British. So hieroglyphs, then you go hieroglyphs, heretics, writing, the Mosaic, Coptic, Arabic. Maybe we will come to that. So the evolution of writing, as we were saying, started as depicting of drawing of things in caves, maybe to depict what happened on that season, hunting season, or maybe actually it was a ritual to guarantee a successful hunting season. So we don't know, but maybe it has some religious connotations, and this is what sparked it, or it was just a depicting of what they were doing of daily lives. This is from Libya.
Is that blood? No. That red paint is blood.
No, most probably it's ink. From rocks. They used to make about their bed and draw.
Yeah.
That's why it stayed. Didn't. And because it's protected inside caves,
Oh,
we
yeah.
still receive money of it. And then this is what I was talking about, the Abydos cards. Scientists say that these are actually letters, kind of. So these are the first, or ideograms. They have meanings in themselves. So
Take how large were they?
yeah,
What was the material?
So that it's
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
like cards. This is
Right.
and then we have the different writing systems we have today. So you have this is from Mesopotamia. This is what you call the
Rosetta Stone.
cuneiform.
Oh,
Cuneiform writing
cuneiform.
system. Yeah,
Yes.
cuneiform writing system.
All
And
right.
then you have the alphabet, of course. And then you have the Chinese characters. And then you have those. Actually, this is a writing system as well. What message do you get from this one?
Happy.
Abby, what message do you get from this one?
Love.
Love. So it is conveying a message, and then it is a writing system. And that actually is an ideogram. An ideogram is a picture that gives you a full message. It's not a sound. Now, what language is this one written in?
Universal.
Any language. Because it's just conveying a meaning, a notion, and you can understand it in any language. So, but this one is written in English. You can't understand it in Arabic or French. It is French a little because it's close, but not in Arabic actually. So, yeah, so this is detached from the language, while this one is attached to a language. Continue. So the ancient Egyptian script is the same. They started with, this is actually one of maybe the oldest system. And it is the oldest system. It differed from the one we showed, the cards, but it is the oldest system because it's elaborate. You need a lot of effort to make it. And the writing was really expensive. Yeah, not everyone was able to write. And also, you need to spend a lot of time writing them. So it was preserved for important things. This is why it was associated with temples and gods and religion. So this is hieroglyphs, which got developed into hand hieroglyphs, like a cursive hieroglyph. It's the same really. This one is the same. This is just the fast way of writing it. So it's not quick way of writing it. So it's not only limited to buildings. You have scrolls as well that are written in hieroglyphs by handwriting. So that one also got abstracted further into the what we call it the hieratic writing, and then that kind of developed into what we call a demotic writing. And this demotic writing was found in the Rosetta Stone. And this one actually was more difficult than the hieroglyphs to decode. We understood hieroglyphs first, then we understood that one. This one came directly because it's related to hieroglyphs, but this one was more difficult because it's so abstracted. Alright, so, and then we came to the Coptic. The Copts are the ancient Egyptians. And technically, they have adopted the Greek alphabet, but they added, I think, 7 characters, special characters from the heretic to their text, to the Greek alphabet, to express the sounds that you cannot find in Greek. But it is technically a Latin alphabet. The Greek alphabet, they're the same as Greek. But the question is, what languages are these?
Arabic. No, European. Hey,
An Egyptian language, isn't it? Yeah, Egyptian language, not languages really. But it's a different manifestations and different eras of the same language. They choose to write in different systems, but the thing is, it's most probably the same language, different times of the same language. And this was one of the solution, because the guy who solved the heretics started from the assumption, which ended up to be a fact, that the Coptic actually is the last stage of the ancient Egyptian language. So he explained the hieroglyphs by using the Coptic. We know Coptic, it's a living language. People still speak it until now in parallel to Arabic. But it's more related to the church and to the rituals, while Arabic is a daily life in Egypt. Not all Egyptians speak Coptic, the Christian Egyptians do, but it's still living language, didn't die. So at the time, at 1822, it was still available and you could study it and understand it as today. And then we come to the alphabet, the English alphabet. Where does the English alphabet come from?
a few different places.
Not the language, the alphabet.
Greek.
Comes from Latin.
Oh,
Before that, from Greek. Before that,
Let's see. Isn't that been learning or Mesopotamian? Something
Yeah.
like that?
close, but not really. Greek. So we have Greek, Latin, and then English. Before Greek, actually it comes from the hieroglyphs.
Oh,
Because the Phoenicians, who were the Canaanites living in the area, abstracted the hieroglyphs into an alphabet, which they then popularized. They transferred it all through the Mediterranean. The Greek adopted that alphabet and started writing with it. They created maybe one letter for a letter which the Phoenicians didn't have. But other than that, all the Greek alphabet is actually borrowed from the Phoenicians. This is why the Greek alphabet names have no meaning in Greek. Like alpha, beta, gamma, epsilon, delta, have no meaning. Ask any Greek person what's the meaning of alpha. Alpha we got associated with first, but originally it wasn't. Also beta, what's beta? Beta is the second letter. So what does it mean? What does the word beta mean? A Greek will not answer you, but an Arab may answer you because it's a sister language. What happened is, as we go through the slides, we'll get to that. So these symbols are the origin of that. And that's scientific fact. We got this from Wikipedia because it's no, like it's scientific fact, and everyone knows that this letter, which is the A, that's the Phoenician one. If you flip it, it's the English A. Comes from that, from the bull. And the bull is in Arabic alif, which means take, tamed animal. So that's where the alif come from, where the alpha come from. That's the meaning of the letter. And then T, in hieroglyphs in all the Egyptian language is ber. In Phoenician it's bait. Bait, which means house. You know the word habit or habitat comes from that. So bait is a house in old Phoenician language. So beta comes from bait, which means a house. And why it's a house? It's a house. It's a room, a simple house, a room with a door. That's what that signifies. And then it got abstracted, and while we write it fast, it got kind of corrupted. And the same happened with all the other letters. So we have traceable development of the alphabet, which links it to the Phoenicians, who actually abstracted the hieroglyphs. So this is the Phoenician. This is the grandmother of the Latin alphabet, and this one is an abstraction pattern, and that happened in Sinai.
Oh, right.
Phoenician name.
The Phoenicians are people, the Canaanites.
Oh.
You know the Canaanites are people who lived before the Greek in the Middle East. They are an ancient people. Lived in the Middle East, mainly in Sinai and Syria, Jordan, Palestine, this area. Yeah. So these are the Phoenicians. And they were traders, they were sailors, and they trade with everybody. So they popularized the alphabet to do their deals. They were clever. The Lebanese are their children, descendants. So yeah, that gives you an idea. All right. So solving the code. Now, how were we able to solve the hieroglyphs? There were previous attempts. It wasn't only the Europeans. There were some people before them trying to solve it, but they were unsuccessful, unfortunately. So there is a Rosetta Stone, which is an important point in history. We'll get to that. So previous attempts were really kind of trying to resolve it. They were kind of associating some magical and metaphysical attributes to these numbers, these shapes and characters. There is one guy who tried. His name is Ibn Wahshiyya, who was an Arabic student in the 12th century, maybe. And his work actually, we received it and got translated in London into English in 1806. So that's even before it got sold. And this is a page of his book. I can read this because it's in Arabic. What is saying that this means, for instance, he's saying that this means something, an ocean. Like this is a prayer, this one is secrets, this one also secrets, this one is lying, this one is astronomy, this one is magic. He got one of them almost right. One of them. And maybe one sound. This is a page where he got this one almost right, which he says this is power or governing. Which is right, actually. This is ideogram for a governor or a
Head of state.
yeah.
King.
Not a king
Prime
specifically,
Minister.
lower than a king, like a governor or a
Prime Minister.
or a guy who's responsible for some area or some power. Yeah, maybe minister, not a king, but he got it almost right. So this is the Rosetta Stone. It's an important point in history because that was the key to resolving the hieroglyphs. But why? The reason is because now the history of the stone, it was actually used as foundations in one castle at Napoleon's campaign in Egypt. His soldiers were fixing that, renovating that castle, and they found the stone. They thought that is important because Napoleon's campaign included the scientists. He brought with him 150 scientists to document the country, and that's what actually sparked the interest in Egyptology, Egyptomania, we call it. So this stone specifically, they knew that it's important, so they kept it. They took it and kept it, and then it ended up with the British because they occupied Egypt after. But the importance of this stone is that, do you see, what do you think? Look at it. What's special in this stone in terms of the text written?
To explain to different people.
Mm.
To
Yeah,
explain to as many
It
people
has different text systems. You can see that looks different. This is the hieroglyphs actually.
yeah.
This one is different. This is the automatic, the one we talked about, the one which was more difficult. And this one is the classical Greek. Now, so that's the secret. That's why this one is important. It has three steps telling the same story. So this is what the scientists look for whenever they want to explain or decipher an old language. They try to find the bilingual or try in this case, where you have the same message written in different texts. One of them we know at least. In this case, we know this one, the classical Greek. This one we didn't know, which is the heritage. Now, what's happening is Egypt became like a metropolis, like it became a destination for people from different backgrounds. It was multicultural. So people used to speak different languages at the time. And this stone actually was thanking the king, who was Thutmose the So this guy is the king, and these are the priests thanking him. And thanking him in different languages because they want everybody to understand what they're saying. So you have the classical Greek, which is the language of the rulers, because at that time Egypt was ruled by the Macedonians, Greek kinds of families. Alexander and his generals in Egypt. And then you have this one for the Egyptians. This is the Domitic, which is the people's language, kind of the popular one, and then you have this, which is more for the elite and for the priests themselves. So so this is why we're lucky that we found it. And then, so this guy is important also. This guy is Champollion. He's a French scholar, and at the time when they discovered Rosetta Stone, or Rashid Stone in Arabic, they knew that it's important. The British took it at the end to the British Museum, but they made the copies of the text, facsimile we call them, and distribute them all over Europe. And so scientists were competing to decipher the language or the text. And this guy did it because he had a belief that it is the Coptic language in a different format. And so he learned the Coptic language, and then he studied the text and found out the solution. And I'll tell you how he did that, and we do a small exercise to see whether you can decipher it by yourself. So, now we come back to this shape, particular shape, which is an interesting one. This one is from the sides themselves. I want to show you how it looks. It looks different ways. You can have it horizontal, you can have it vertical. You have certain symbols inside this shape in different formats. Now, the scientists were like kind of guessing that this shape actually encloses the name of the case. When the French came to Egypt, they saw this shape and saw, it looks like a cartouche. What's a cartouche? A cartouche is a cartridge for the rifle. So the cartridge, the bullets in the rifle, it looks like this. So they call it cartouche. And it's a star. Now this one is called cartouche. Cartouche in French is the cartridge in English. So So the cartouche is this shape technically that includes these symbols. scientists believe that this is the name, include the name of the case. And that was the first step in solving the mystery. We now know that this shape actually comes from a symbol itself, one of those. We have codes for the different symbols. This symbol is called, it has the code V9, and it can be elongated to include like the names, like what's happening here. But in Egyptian, it is called, in all Egyptian language, we know now that it's called Shin. Shin. That's what it's called. So it's the sound Shin, or the letter Shin. But this letter, or sound symbol, has a meaning. The meaning is really protection. And potentially the word shield comes from it. Potentially, maybe, we're not sure. But that's what it is. It is kind of protecting the name of the king. And for the old Egyptians, names were important. And we'll come to get to that later as well. Protecting your name and ensuring that your name persists was important for Egyptians. They considered that if your name get forgotten or lost or damaged, you will not have eternity. So that was important to the ancient Egyptians in their mythology. So inside that, you have the name. The name itself is called Re in all the Egyptian language. So diving further, this is the Rosetta Stone. It has 3 texts. That's the classical 3, that's the dramatic, and that's the hieroglyphs. And there is the name Ptolemy, or Ptolemy in Greek, and yeah, and as well as in the other languages. Now, further. So that's zoom, like focusing on a certain part of the Rosetta Stone. Can you identify where the cartouche is? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Almost there, isn't it? So that's the cartouche. And we know this one is for Ptolemy. And that's the cartouche for this guy. Just cubit without the prayer. Like it has also some nicknames, but we got only the name, which is Basimus, that. And then we have another cartouche we know, which is Queen Cleopatra. So Queen Cleopatra has, this is how you write her name in ancient hieroglyphs. And kind of scientists knew that this is the case. They knew that this is for Petramus, this is for Ptolemy, this is his cartouche, this is Cleopatra. From these 2 cartouches, what conclusions can you come up with? Like, there are some similarities, right? What can you guess based on the shape of the cartouche and the symbols inside it?
But they're different places. Those square one is different. Cleopatra's got one at the start, but
Yeah.
Ptolemy's got one in the middle, for instance.
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
This is
and,
Cleopatra, this is the.
yeah, and
lion.
Yeah, they have lions. That's the most obvious one. You're right. And then you have
Yeah.
the square as well. And others. You have this one.
Yeah.
What else? There is another one.
next to the square on the left at the bottom
Yeah.
is the same one at the top too.
Yeah, that and that.
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
Like the, is it a feather?
yeah that. A reed. It's a reed. Yeah. So that reed, there is a double here. There is one there. So now it became obvious that actually these are conveying sounds, not meanings. And this is the key. Because many scientists thought, the hieroglyphs is ideograms. We can never know how it sounded, or we can never resolve it, because you can convey meaning in a picture that means different things to different people, and then it will not give you the sound. Like what I've shown you in the heart. Love in English is hub in Arabic. amour in whatever.
French and Italian.
So it sounds different, but it has the same meaning. So it's really difficult to know how it sounds if it was ideograms. But Chambellion, the guy we spoke about, believed that it is phonetics, it is sounds, not ideograms. And based on that, he was saying if this is Benjamus, and we read it from left to right, if we skip, but it's kind of intuitive that we read from left to right because this is the base of the Sartouche, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we put it on top, that's the bottom, that's the base. But the base there, we will read from left to right. And then if you read this Benjamus, that, and here it's Heliopatra. What sound, what letter is that?
L.
L, the letter L. So that was really the key to, and then slowly, step by step, symbol by symbol, we were able to decipher all the symbols by really cross-referencing and comparing. So the lion is we have the code given to it now, E23, and it is technically the letter L at this stage of the language. Previously, it was the Ra, and the Ra and L are interchangeable kind of. And these are the other sounds. So you have the L there, the L there, the T there, the T there, the square, the O there, the O there, and technically the yes, the Y, and the E, which is kind of shorter, shorter. That one is a deeper E, maybe you can. So that sound and that sound are related. So from here, based on what you know, where is the Sartouche in the first one?
At the bottom.
At the bottom. And the second one?
Top.
The top.
The top? This one? There.
Bottom.
This one?
Not there.
This one?
Middle.
There. Alright. Now, so we know that it's the name of a king.
Yes.
Now let's explain how we use this stuff. Now, in Egyptian hieroglyphs, you have, like as we have established, these symbols you have, some of them there, are sounds, mostly. There are other things as well, they explain further, but they are mostly sounds. But these sounds are interesting because we have so many of them, so they can have different sounds for the same symbol and symbols that share the same sound. Also, you have sounds that are, we call them unilateral, which means it's a one sound, and there are sounds that are double sounds or triple sounds or more. And understanding this concept is not difficult. Like in English, we have the sound X, the letter X. How many sounds is in it?
Two.
How many trees? E, H, S.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
In the name of the letter or the sound that it
the
makes?
sounds.
Phonetic.
The sound underneath. Yeah, like or two at least. It's not four. Correct. So
Name, read the sound.
X. What is the sound of the letter C?
C and E. S and E.
Could be.
Exactly. We have the same symbol that has two sounds, and we have also what's the sound for the letter K
K and
as well, which means
K-A-Y.
like
The sound.
the sound. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's similar to C as well. So you have two letters that share the same sound. You have one letter that has two sounds. You have one letter that sounds double sound. It's not a single sound. And same thing with the hieroglyphs. These are the symbols you have on the ruler here. They are mostly, we call them the basic sounds. They are mostly single sounds. And that kind of correlates with the Latin alphabet. It's, not Latin alphabet, the alphabet. Because it has additional sound as but so this symbol, the hook, is A, the reed is E and the I, the foot or the leg is B. That one is a base of a jar. It's on a base of what you call it? A jar.
Cheers.
G, and then the hand is D and accordingly. So some of these sounds are, so these are the unilateral sound, which is the one sound. But here in this booklet, you will have those as a start, first page. And then the second page will give you sounds that are doubles. And there is also more. If you continue, you'll find sounds that are triple. We'll get to those. But the way you read them, you look at the first page, and here there is the different phonetics. This is how we write sounds in phonetics. Because letters, as we said, may have different sounds, but phonetics have one specific sound. So the letter C can manifest in different phonetics. So for this one, the first one is the letter A, let's call it. The second one, you can't find it in English, you skip it for now, I'll explain it later. The third one is heavy B, P, and then N. The one after is also not in English, I'll explain it later. The K with the dot beneath it, that's kind of the letter Q, which is ha.
Is this the international name?
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe it's specific to hieroglyphs, but all the Egyptologists reuse this one in writing when they want to write the sounds. Yeah. But I think it is. I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah. I think that's international. But the selection of them, not all of them, that correlates to Egyptian or Egyptian. So alright. So now I'll explain it on there actually later. But based on what you know, and you can use your ruler. Please read this name to me.
Oh.
It's the King Bibli. Alright, great. Good work. So based on what you know now, what can you get from this? What are your restrictions, your findings here?
Oh, right.
So we start from left to right?
No, just look at it as a whole.
Okay.
What can you guess? What can you find? Not specifically reading, but what do you think? What information do we have here?
Can see lots of books. So letter A.
Yeah, but also based on what we learned about the cartouche and its importance.
Okay, so it's about people.
Is it 1K? Is it 1K?
No, they're different cartouches.
So there are 2K.
Yes.
And what's the direction of the reading?
What's the direction?
Just direction of the reading, where you read from.
Oh, from right to left.
This one is from left to right. Why? Because we have the base of the cartouche there. So that means we read it in towards the cartouche.
Oh,
Yeah. And the same with all the other actually. They are looking towards the direction.
Yeah.
So because the shapes are looking to the left, we read from the left. Some of these shapes are neutral, but the ones who have a direction, they will tell us what direction we start from. Yeah. Alright, so good information, even though we're just scratching the surface. We knew that they have 2 kings, and we know where to read from. We know that this is mostly phonetics, so they are sounds. So when you see a hook or a ball, it doesn't necessarily mean a ball or a hook, right? It's a sound. So when you see a bee, it's not a bee really. It's not talking about bees. So would you say that this talks about animals? You don't know, maybe not, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so actually, based on what we know now, so we have the 2 cartouches. This is how it reads. So these are the sounds, and these are the names. And this is the interesting thing that you may expect something, but when we were able to decipher the language, we got access to this information. It was hidden for millennia. So this is how it sounds. We do Enham and Nisubiti who feed Ma Heru Ini Itu. So that means His Majesty said, but because it's similar to Arabic, the verb starts. In English, we start with the subject. Arabic and this language, we start with the verb. So the king said, or His Majesty said, the king of Upper Azwar is Fufu. So that's Fufu. Actually, that's Fufu. So yeah, Fufu, that's justified. Give and present this. An offering of 1,000 leaves of bread, 100 jars of beer, 1 bowl and incense, 2 incense cones for the king of the 2 lands, Joseph, the justified, along with an offering given as well a cake. So the name of the first king is Hopo, that one. And this one is Joseph. Joseph actually is his grandfather. So he's giving an offering. Joseph. He's giving an offering to his grandfather. That's what they said. And that's the start of what provides actually. It's an end of the first story, which is lost. It's damaged, unfortunately. So we have only the offering. At the end of each story, he gives offering for the hero of the story and for his honoring
The star.
honoring his ancestors.
So because the narrative follows that pattern, you know that the first part is missing.
We know that the hero of that story is King Joseph because he was in the secret. But the other stories, other 4 stories are complete. So we were able to understand what was here. 4. The first one, the 4 of them are promised. So that's good. We have advanced significantly. Now I'll let you hear how the language, I've read some, but I let you hear how the language sounds. If I click enter, oh yeah. Can you
مي إر حابي سنثر رمبوت نوبت يواون جو أبدو حر نسرت إيرت حابي تبحت إف إم وسر ننرختو رن إف إم دوات ننبر نثرو سنج إن شفشفيت إير إن صائف نبراجر إر سواج إدبوي واجد كا إيو إك حابي واج كابو سعان خرمث من منت إنشاء واج كا إيو إك حابي واج كا إيو إك إيو أس بو نفر أمحتب.
Now this one is called A Hymn to the Nile. It's something we did and translated actually. Now it is talking about Hadi. Hadi is the old name of Nile in Egypt. They used to call him Hadi. And he was kind of a god, a manifestation of a god. So yeah, so I can understand that, and hopefully you can understand some of it by the end of this workshop. It's not too difficult. Just a different vocabulary for a different language. So now we're diving deeper into the subject. So we will now explain the hieroglyphs. As I explained, we have uniliteral, biliteral, and triliteral, or even more signs. And then we have we know the reading direction already. And I will speak more on the determinatives, or what we call them signifiers, or complementation. And then we'll have a general grammar. That will help us in reading the names, because the names sometimes have plural or feminine form of the name and all that. So now this is what you have. These are the different sounds. I'll explain the difficult sounds now. For an Arab, it's easier because it's all the same sounds. But in English, you don't have all the sounds. The sounds you don't have are specifically those. Can you identify them on your rulers? The rule. What shapes? the hand is the letter Ain, which is in like the name Omar. Do you know any Omar? The first sound is not O, it's A. So that sound is A. Not
Say the name.
Omar. Omar. No. So that's the third letter, which is the hand. Now the next one is this one, which is the H with a dot beneath it. You can find it under the this one, which is
In. Under the top.
that one is the rope. It's a kind of intertwined rope, like
Oh, that one.
yeah.
Oh,
But that letter is the letter Ha, like the word Habib. So Habib, Ha. That's like that Ha. That's the letter Ha. This one is the kind of an H, but not an H. The other one kind of an O, but not an O. And yeah, and then you have this like Habib's, and this one like Omar. And then you have this one, which is the H with the 7 beneath it. That is the KH in your book.
KH.
In your book. So that's the circle with the line in it. That's the letter Kha, which is like in the name Khalid. You know any Khalid? Khalid. Letter Kha. And then you have this letter. It's also an H with the line beneath it. That's the letter or the sound Gha, like the name Ghalib, which is a name, Ghalib, Arabic name. And then you have that letter, which can be manifest in different ways, either Da or Dij, like Da and Ja at the same time. J, like the Ja. J, yeah. And it can actually be later on transformed into Sa, which is the Hebrew Sa, or the Arabic Ta. But let's leave it at this. It's the Ja. So if we
Can you please say again the H's, the sounds of the two
the
different
H,
H's?
okay, so this 3 of them.
Okay.
So this one is the H with the 7 Kha,
Ha.
Kha, Ha. And then you have the H with the dot Ha, Ha, Ha.
Ha.
And then you have the H with the line Ra, Ra. So these are the different names that you can think of, which is Omar, for that Ghalib, for that Khalid, for that Habib, for that potentially Jassim, for that Arabic So, but it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. You don't have to do it perfectly, but it's good for you to know. So these are the different basic sounds, the unique literal sounds. Same you have on your ruler, but we have included maybe other ones, like for instance this one, the 2 reeds next to each other, is actually same like this. This is an abstract, like a simpler way of writing it, and you have that in your ruler somewhere. Yeah, there.
There.
Yeah, the Y. The Y. So you can write it either this way or this way, doesn't matter. And these are the different sounds. You can get familiarized with them. Different shapes. For instance, this is a basket. This is a bread. Half a bread. A hand, a lion, a lot, a crown, which is in also a waterway. Maybe this letter actually got us the English letter M, obviously, because it's waves. And then different shapes with different sounds. That all in your ruler, because these are the unilateral sounds. And they are the basic sounds. You can technically write anything with this. But why would the Egyptians choose different symbols for different reasons? Sometimes they don't have a space, because hieroglyphs is a visual script. So if you have a limited area, you may like to condense the sounds. So you use triliteral or biliteral instead of using spreading it and using single. As well as sometimes you need a specific symbol to identify something, like royalty, for instance. You don't get one of those, you get something special for the king. So that's the reason, really. And that's why I said it's more interesting than our alphabet, because it has this capability of flexibility as well to convey the same message in different ways. And then we said that there are different signs with the same sound, different sounds, or a sign or the same sound with different signs. So this is, for instance, the first symbol or sign in the dictionary. And the one who did the dictionary is a famous scholar. His name is Ellen Gardner, British. And he gave the codes for the different signs, and we kept going, building on it since. I think he did it in the 1920s. So we continue doing that. This one is sign A1. It's a man seated. It's pronounced as C, as well as I, we, in, wa, and rimik. Different times, different meanings. But most commonly, it's a C, which represents a man. So the word for a man in Old Egyptian is C. C. And also the hieroglyphs uses the ideograms as well. It doesn't only use the sound. Sometimes you use a symbol for its meaning, not for the sound. Like what we did when I told you what is the man, what was the man symbol on the face in the first script I've shown you. This guy was actually pointing to his mouth. So what that means is actually talking or eating or anything that relates to the mouth. Even silence, talking, eating. All of these meanings can be depicted by this symbol. In this case, they will put the symbol at the end of the words to identify what the word is. And this is why the system is different alphabet. It's a semi-alphabet system. I'll explain that in easier way. Like, for instance, when I write a word and I want to indicate that it's a verb, not a noun, I put the symbol at the end indicating action. For instance, this guy, I may put him at the end of the word to identify that this word means it relates to hitting or beating or conquering. When I read the word, I don't read this one. This one is just a signifier. It's just a signifier. So many of the symbols you see in the text may be signifiers. They don't have sound. We don't read it. You just give us the meaning. Just give us the meaning. And professionality in identifying these ones and where the word starts and where it ends. Because they didn't have punctuation at the time. But that's complex in saying, but in applying it, it's not too difficult. It's easy. We'll get to it. So now, guys, I wish we had some kids. They would love this one. The last time they loved it. So this is an example of ideograms. Actually, these are different countries, name of countries. And you can potentially guess some of them.
Australia.
Yeah, so these are name of countries. So we tend to categorize things and understand patterns as human. So this is where language comes from. It's a human thing. Like language and writing is really kind of human virtue or human characteristic. So these are different countries. You can guess some of them or all of them.
Japan.
Japan.
Lebanon, first one.
That.
No, the first one. The tree. The cedar of Lebanon. Cedars of Lebanon.
It's definitely the three.
Yeah, this one potentially. Yeah, or maybe some Northern European country, Finland or one of those.
Switzerland. The
What's it again? What?
Yeah, that.
Switzerland.
Japan would be that next to the mountain. Next to the mountain.
The whole thing is the
Is that one Africa and the other?
Yeah.
Oh,
Canada.
Canada?
Canada. India. India. Iceland is the big one.
Yeah, potentially.
Iceland, Greenland, Iceland.
Australia.
Yeah, so that's the idea. These are ideograms, technically. So can you read the story? Let's see how different we get it. and whether we understand the same thing.
Well, with the
If I
sun
tell you
came
this
up-
is a story,
When the sun came up, the kids went to
Yeah.
school.
it's from left to right and up down.
Is that a setting sun or a rising sun?
Let's say a rising sun.
Oh, rising
Because at
sun.
the
Okay,
start-
morning. Okay,
Yeah,
start of the day, right?
Because you start the story with it.
So the feet, you get up and you talk. You wake up on your feet. You talk. You go out.
The first maybe,
You go out and out of the door, home outdoors, I suppose. And you
Yeah.
play with the dog.
So that's the potential way of reading it. That's
Oh,
maybe-
there was. Oh, right.
You want to-
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just the idea that you can get a meaning from that one. That's the idea, and that's the potential understanding of it. There is no right and left. Different people will read it differently based on their background and cultural. Now we'll explain phonograms. What phonograms are? The phonograms are technically like you can't use ideograms to convey accurate and specific information. So what the innovation was that actually they started using sounds, but instead of using the sound singular, like unilateral, which the Phoenicians did later on, but before that, they used to dissect the word into different sounds, group sounds.
Syllable.
For instance, yes, syllables. For instance, the word bison in English can be divided into a bee and sun. So you draw a bee and you draw a sun, and then it means a bison. So yeah. So that's the idea. This is what the old writing system were based on in Mesopotamia and Egypt as well. So, for instance, if I give you these two photos and I say, what's the word? We read it from left to right.
Tree glass, tree jar.
Treasure.
Treasure, treasure.
Oh, treasure.
Treasure. So yeah. And then if we know that a tree is a jar, so what's this word?
Measure.
Measure. As we know more,
Oh,
we get
yeah.
used to things. So we start replacing them for sounds. And then
Count. Count.
Pound, no.
that's a stretch, but maybe country, country.
Count.
Oh,
Hey,
country.
it's a
Oh,
stretch,
country. Oh,
but
my
that's the
God.
idea. Like it can change the location. You start associating sounds with photos, with images. You don't see them as images anymore. You see them as sound. And this is the hieroglyphs technically. So language and writing, as we were saying, this is Latin alphabet. You can write. I think this is Greek. Or the Greek or Latin. Or the Greek. And then you have Latin. And then you have French.
Maybe ancient.
Italian, French, and then you have English. So all of that is written in the same alphabet. Different languages written in the same alphabet. So there is a differentiation between language and writing. So now okay, we start the exercises.
Okay.
I need you to look in your booklet and tell me what is the sound. This one is Khibr. Khibr or Khibri. The god Khibri. Khibr is a beetle. It's a triliteral. What about this guy? This one. This is
Seagull.
bilateral. It's a duck. A duck or a goose. And these ones are important. This is why I'm mentioning them. They get used a lot in the name of the things and they have significant meanings. Sa means sun, the sun of. So that's that. And then you have the Khibr. Khibr means manifestation. Also it means people, but it means manifestation. So and then you have this one. So this one is, I'll tell you, this one is the which means great. And then you have this one. This one actually is a mountain with a rising sun. It's the sound kha. The two difficult sounds together. Kha. And this one is This one is khiru. Khiru means the truthful. And then you have the face. The face is bilateral.
How?
Head. Head means in front of, and it's a face. So like facing, like in English, how we say face and facing. Head in hieroglyphs is in front of, and then you have that. That, they call it that, which means life.
Oh,
Right.
is it? Mm.
That. And then we have the house. You mentioned the house before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the bilateral. It's the sound per, which means house as well. And then you have these hands, connected hands. This one is an important symbol because it represents the soul. And in the Egyptian language, it was called ka, the ka. Ka.
Cut.
So the ka is the soul, or a type of souls. The Egyptians have like three souls, three types of souls. Like the difference between spirit and soul and identity in English. So they have this differentiation between a soul and the spirit and an identity. So that's the ka, which is the soul. This one is a mat with a bread on it, which is an offering. But the sound is hitib, which means happy or satisfied. And then you have the bird. The bird is wer. Wer means also great or big. And then we have this one, which is a flag. That's important. It is the sound nitter. Nitter means God in old Egyptian. Or the closest we know is God in old Egyptian language. And then we have that. That one is hiqa. Hiqa means power or governing, associated with the king mainly. And then this one is important also. They say that this one is actually the breathing system, like a kind of a heart attached with the.
Artery windpipe.
Yeah.
Trachea.
Yeah. This is what they say, but I'm not sure if this is what they expected. But regardless, the sound of this one is nifr. And nifr is important because nifr means beautiful. So they use it a lot. So do you know the Queen Nefertiti?
Yeah.
She has nifr in it, which means their name has beautiful in it. And the meaning of Nefertiti means the beautiful king. And then we have that the hand giving bread, which is the sound D, which means to give. The Egyptians still use it in their dialects. D or iddi means to give. In Arabic also, yuaddi means to give. So, and we have that bread alone also means D. You can use either this or that. And then we have that plant. That one is zu, which is associated with the cake. And the other one is a basket. The basket is important. It is pronounced nib, but when it starts, if you start with it, it means Lord, like nib Tawi means the Lord of the two lambs. But if you end with it, means all. It will mean all. We'll get to that. I don't want to make it difficult, but we would like to do maybe some exercises. Like if you get these words, let's start with this. Do just one maybe only. This word I've just told you, it's nib. If you want to write it in universal sounds, what would you use? So use this blank page and write that shape. Write this sound in universal sounds using your ruler. So I told you this one is nib, and you can find it in here. There is it has kind of academic way of reading, which we don't 100% know it's right, but the Egyptologists or the Orientalists agree that we always use yeah, unless we know that it's wrong. So this is why I always, for the letter sa, I say C. We always use E at the start. We always use E at the start, unless we know that it's not. Like an, I said an, then say an.
Yeah.
If we are 100% sure that it's not, we say that. But if we not, we say E. And that's kind of an academic way of reading it. That's the academic reading. We haven't heard that the old Egyptian. We just reverse engineered
Yeah.
the language. So there are some assumptions, and this is a big assumption we have.
So with the end, how do we know which end to use, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason that we included these two, because this one is horizontal and this one is vertical. And the Egyptians used to like to use the nice symbols next to each other. So if you are using vertical and they use also to combine horizontal on top of each other. So sometimes it's better to use a horizontal symbol instead of using a vertical symbol. It depends. There's a flexibility there. That's the idea. And there are more of them, but it doesn't matter. It's the same idea for writing everything else. So now I'll explain another concept which is important because now you know that actually we can write the same things with different ways. That's the idea. Still reads the same. So what the Egyptians did for certain words to confirm the correct reading, they added the complementary sounds, only possible for bilateral and triliteral. For instance, this sound said that this one is an, which is like, and then an, sometimes you find it as such, just a simple single sign, and in other cases you may find it next to these two signs. But how would we read this one? We still read it as. We don't read it and then essence. We don't do that. We still read it as. Same thing. Because those sounds just complementary to tell you what the sound is, not to be read. But that's an important idea for us to understand how to read. So we have the sound itself, which is triliteral, and then we have the N, and then we have the Kha. Now, reading direction, you already know where the sign looks. We read from that, but the Egyptians used to stack things as well on top of each other. If they are stacked, we read from top to down, like what you did in your writing, up down. So that's the direction. This one direction is the other way around, and this one is direction is up down. And this one is up down. The difference between this and that, that's from right to left, that's from left to right.
In one text, does it ever change direction, or do they pick one and write with it?
Not in one place, but in the same picture maybe. The Egyptians, because of this flexibility, maybe they invented the first comic. Because when you have two people speaking,
Yeah.
you have the text associated this direction, associated with this guy, and then the other thing associated with the other. So yes, in the same picture you may have different directions, but the same text, no, it continues the same direction. And you notice that we don't normally have down to up. Actually there is down to up, but in magical text and very restricted. But commonly these are the directions. Now, the first exercise, try to write your name in using the uni.
So you just write it in consonants, right?
Mostly.
Yeah.
The Greek started the vowel thing. We thought that it was only very custom. And that's the problem. This is why we don't know the exact pronunciation. Because they didn't try to avoid the vowels. So now we touch on some basic grammar, like basic grammar. It's a little bit different to English. In old Egyptian, they have an expression for two persons. So they have one person, two persons, and three animals. So singular and plural. In English, singular is one person, plural is three or more. There is something in the middle, which is two persons. In Arabic and Egyptian, they have expression for two persons. Now, before that, also in Egyptian, you have a feminine form. And you do that by adding the letter ta at the end. That will change the word from masculine to feminine. And to make two, you add the letter we or t. T for feminine, for female and we for male. So yeah, you add the letter yeah at the end. That's for two. For plural, you add the letter or the sound wa for male and what for female. Okay, it will be easy when we use it. But in old Egyptian language, as I said, this symbol A1, it sounds, or the sound of this symbol is C, which means a man. If I want to make a feminine form of it, remember we add T. So that's Set. Set is a lady. So C is a man and Set is a woman. So based on that, what's the feminine format of these words? So that's Sen, and this one is Ba, which means servant or a helper, and Nitter, which means God. These are words, and these are adjectives like description. Nitter is beautiful. And then we have Fa'al, which means high or great. So the feminine format of those, we add tat. So Sen will be, that's a brother, sorry. Sen is a brother, Senet is sister, and Ba is a male servant helper. Bakit is a female.
Females.
And then Nitter is a god, Netret is a goddess, and Nefer is beautiful. Nefret is beautiful man, Nefer, beautiful lady, Nefret.
Nefertiti.
Nefertiti, yeah, exactly. And then you have A, and the A is the feminine format of it. So when you write it as well, what you do, you add the sound. What's that sound? You check on your. You add the ta, and then that will make it feminine. As well as you change the signifier. So this is sen. That's a signifier. We don't read it. That identifies that this is description of a man. Like, so it's a brother. This is a sister. So we use the proper signifier with it, which is the leg. It's the man, the leg. Same here. That's a servant man. That's a servant lady with the letter T, the sound T. Here, that's a letter. That's a letter as well, but we know that letter, it's the lady letter, like goddess. Same here, beautiful for a male, beautiful for a man. We have the T as a signifier. And the same thing here, this one relates as well to a god, this. So this is why they have this name. This expression, but we can write it in different ways. So now we come to duplicating, like talking about two persons, or two females, two males. There are different ways of doing it in writing. But the idea is to add the letter we or ye at the end. So that's wa, that's ya, we. Or you can have the same sign written twice. We'll show examples. Like this one, remember Senet, sister? Senet, sister. If you want to duplicate it, you will have the word senti. I can write it like this with just that, or I can even duplicate the signifier to confirm that it's a dual. And then we have sa, which means son of star. And then this is, you have this in your ruler, the wa, and then the ya. Sa we. This word is so popular or so known, sometimes you just put the signifiers twice. That's just abbreviation, kind of. And then you have some words that have the ya at the end, but it doesn't necessarily means two. But it similar to Arabic as well, it's common to use the ya at the end for association. If a person coming with a certain country, we add the ya. Like I say, for instance, Jordan. Urduni is from Jordan. Even sometimes they do the signifier twice. This symbol is important because this is the city symbol. It's two roads crossing. It's the city center. So this means a city, and the word is Niyut. Niyut is a city, but if I'm speaking about a person who comes from the city, a local, Niyuti comes from that city. Yeah. And then the same for Akhet means the horizon, Akhti means from the horizon, which relates to the gods. And then, yeah, similarly, same thing everywhere. We just need to know this. We don't need to be experts, but that helps in reading. And then we have the plural. The plural is simpler, maybe, with the letter wa. Like we, like to say I, we. So it's the letter wa to identify group. So wa is the universal sound for groups in many languages, not only in Old Egyptian. For feminine, we add the T, but we add the T after the wa. So always the last sound is the T in the feminine format. So the way you do it, you either put that, the quail, because it sounds wa, or you add 3 lines, which means group, more than 1 or 2. So for instance, this letter we can either pronounce it as niter or nefer. They're not sure. Some people even pronounce it as nitshe, but the most common is to say nefer. Then what's the group of it? What's the plural? And the wa at the end. Wa. Netro. Nitro. Or nitro. Or nitro. The wa. Because that's easy. Because as I said, we. So wa or group. And the way we write it, you need to be able to identify the words. This is a group. Why? Because I have 3 lines. They can be next to each other, on top of each other. Then this is a group because we have 3 signifiers, 3 symbols, or 3 signifiers of the word, or the signifier are behind the 3 lines. So different ways of writing it's the same thing. So if we have Senate, remember Senate, which is the sister, one sister. So for sister, remember the ta is the last word, the last sound always. Sinu. Sinus is a group system. And the way we write it is sinus with the 3 symbols signifiers, or group sinus with signifiers. They write it different ways. Each writer has his own way of writing as well, like his identity and his way. And then you have sinus with 3 ones. Whatever shape it takes, we can identify, because different ways of writing it, different eras, different writers. So there are some words that are ends with wa, which is not obvious, they're not plural, but maybe they identify many. Like for instance, the word for water is mo. So yeah, and other words similarly, they are even written in as such, with different, with many lines and many symbols. So now this is important. Nitro, or Benitro, there are famous gods of Egyptian mythology, and that's important because the name of the king normally associates with the name of gods. So we have this guy, and this is his shape or symbol, Bitah. That's one of the gods. We have also Amun. You may know Amun Tutak, Amun. So Amun is one god as well, and that one is a shape. This one you can read it, Amen. In all Egyptian language it's Imen, but in English we say it Amun.
I'm smiling because it's like in the mummy, Anuk Tsunami.
Yeah. Now we may find that there. And then you have Might. Might is also a goddess for the system, for the law of the universe. And we have other famous ones, including this guy, master of the gods, kind of Ra, which is the sun.
Like Zeus.
And then you have this guy who's the young person, Horus. And Horus is the Greek name, or the Greek pronunciation of it, because of the letter sa at the end. The Greeks used to add sa to names in a subject, in an active form. So the original name is Hor in Old Egyptian. Horus is the Greek name. And this guy is an Anubis. Anubis is Anu. Actually, in all the Egyptian, same thing, Greek name S at the end, And this guy Osiris is Osir. The S is always an addition from the Greek. And then you have Isis. Isis is also Isa or Ethel. Alright, we continue. There is some important thing in Egyptian writing, which is glorification. Like the name of the god, they normally wrote it at the start because it's the god. You have to start with the god. Even though you don't read it at the start, you start with it in writing. There are examples, but this one, for instance, this is written, this read as Hem. And this one is Niter, if you remember. This word is read as Hem Niter, even though you should be starting from left to right, but you read this before that. Hem Niter, which means God's servant. And then you have this one, which is Imen, and that's the signifier. Mary, which is Mary Imen, means loved by God, or by Emun, loved by Emun technically. And this one is Ra, and that's the signifier. That's the signifier as well, both of them. And then you have Hu, which means that's Ra, or this is Ra. And then this one, you have Nisu. Nisu, we don't feel the T or something like that. Nisu means the king, Sa. Nisu Sa. We read it as Sa Nisu, the son of the king. So yeah, so that's just the concept which is used in this area of the world. Even in Arabic we use it. We start with the name of the god and then the name of the people. So sometimes the order of the things will be different. But we will know that the Khortush follows a certain system. It will be easier now because we will be focusing exactly on the Khortushes. Alright, so now how did we know the name of the kings? We know the name of the kings because of the king lists. We found it in temples and different scrolls. Then the king itself. Okay, so when did we get the name Pharaoh from? What are these two symbols? We mentioned the house. And the house. And this is great. Dir'a means the great house, which is the palace. So in certain era, they used to call the king the Dir'a, which means the great palace, like the British when they describe the royal family.
He says Synecdoche, so we say Canberra. The news from Canberra like Canberra didn't say anything. It was Canberra represents the Australian government.
Exactly. Most probably where we got the name Pharaoh from, which is a corruption concept of that name. In reality, the king has different names. Actually, the king has 5 main names or titles. He has what we call the Horus name. Starts with the nectar, with the god Horus on top of the palace. That's a throne for palace, something like that. And then you have his name inside. Or also he has a throne name, which starts with Nisubiti, means the king or the royal king. And then you have his personal name, which starts with Sa-Ha, means the son of Ha, son of Ra, Sa-Ra, son of Ra. And then you have a golden Horus name and the Nifty name, which is the two ladies, two goddesses. What matters for us is actually these two names mainly because they used to be contained within Khartouche. The personal name and the royal name. Alright. So the king's list is something like this. In the temples, like the Karnak for instance, you find the drawing which had different people and on top of this different names, different Khartouches. You can see all of these are names of their kings. And the Egyptian pharaohs, kings, used to love that to honor their ancestry. But they didn't include all the names. But from cross-referencing the different names, we know the hierarchy and the chronology of the different families and the different kings. So this guy is Sefer Mendra.
Yeah.
This is the name of this king who is giving an offering all of that
Yeah.
to his ancestors. But there are different names here, if you can see. Different names. And then by cross-referencing the different information we have, we get to know. But it's always changing. Sometimes we discover a new thing within. So the structure of the Khartouche is really important. As we said, we start with the name of the god at the time, which is most important. We read it last. So the way you read this one is that, and then that. So what's the difference between the two? Can you read this one and read this one? I told you that this
That's
one
the
is
vital.
men, Tibet, and this one is men, Tibet. How would you read this one?
So that's the three.
Three, what does that mean? So how would you make a plural? Like I, we, remember we had wa and then. So
Yeah.
how would you read this one? This one, I'll tell you this one and you tell me this one. This one is men, Tibet, ra. This one is men,
What?
Hebrew, men, Hebrew, ra. That's me, Hebrew. That's solid. This is the manifestations of Ra. So that's Dectimus the third, and that's Dectimus the first, which is his son, kind of.
Okay.
So this guy was after, and he wants to.
So that's the fourth.
The fourth. Yeah.
One-
That's the third.
one-
That's the fourth.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So he wants it to be better than his father. So he added a group into the plan. Maybe. So that's established manifestations of Ra. And then, okay, the structure of the Khartouche, this is important. Same thing, we have the name of the god on the top, which is in this case Imen. And then this one is read as Ha. Shipset is noble lady. There is a tablet, she's a lady, but it's a group. So it's ship suit. So who's the queen? No.
Oh, Hatshepsut.
Well, why Adam?
Yeah, Hatshepsut.
Oh, yeah.
Hatshepsut. And then there is kind of an addition, which is Gilmet Himen, united with Himen. So which letter is here? Who's that?
Ra.
Ra. All of these are Ra. What about this guy?
Horus.
Horus. This guy is Horus. What about this?
Eman.
Don't worry about this. This is the signifier. Or just read that.
Eaton.
So,
Atun. Atun.
yeah.
Atun.
Atun.
Atun. And this one is Ra,
Yeah.
Imen. Combination of both.
Yeah.
Alright? So this guy is important. We'll talk about him later. Now, see, this person has changed his name. This is the Khartouche of the same change.
That's
But he started with this and he ends with that. Now this is the name, and this is just a prayer line for the king. But let's stay with the name. You see the similarities. We have that. Remember what that was? Ant. So Ant is also here, the same.
Yeah.
It's Ant and Khat.
Yeah.
This should have lines in it, but because of the material they did it. So that's Ant, which is the same like that. You can write it either like this or write it like that with the complementary sounds.
Yeah.
So that's Ant. What about this one? Read it for me. You read from right to left.
Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun.
Yeah.
So that's which one is Tutankhamun?
That one.
Nah, this one is Tutankhamun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because of that, it's Amen.
Tut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tutankhamun. Actually, Tutankhamun, his original name was Tutankhamun because his father Akhenaten changed the gods and started. He started to glorify Hiten on top of all the other gods.
oh, he had one. He
Yeah.
had one, and before him there were many.
Yeah.
Oh, and he, of course, to be
No,
the,
they prayed to Beni,
of course,
but
to be
the
five.
highest was
Yeah.
Hiten
Oh,
in his era. And there is also other name or title for Tutankhamun, which is this one. Remember when I said that the basket, if it's at the end, it means every, all. If it's at the start, means Lord. This one is, remember this one? Can you read this? So this one, we read it from bottom top. Nef Hipro Ra. Nef Hipro Ra. It means the Lord of the manifestations of Ra. Let's read this one, easy. Remember I said this one is Nefer. The other three you have them in your ruler. Sinecro. So that's Sinecro. That's what about this one? Sofo. Sofo. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Kofo.
Yeah.
The king Kofo, the famous pyramid in Giza. Okay, these ones are important because we have Ra at the start, read this at the end. So let's read one or two, Brooklyn. You read this one already. His other name is Nefer Ra. Nefer Ra. And then we have Khibr Ra as well. And this one is Cow, because it's a group of cows. Kawara. Anyways, I'm the same. Can read the whole thing, but no need. So this is the name of the king, which is we have the Ra, then we have Sa, Hittat Ib. This is the hard Ib. Sa Hittat Ib Ra. The Hittat of Ra, this is his name. But they always follow the name with a prayer, which is the which means be given life. The is give, remember the bread?
Yeah.
So that's the supplication formula. So you have supplication formula always following the name of the king. So the supplication formula, well, this is one of them. You read like the if Amjid was Nib, which means let him be given all life, stability, and authority. Nib is all DF gives him and light, Jed stability was authority. So these are different types of supplications formulas. You can read them all, but it really means the same thing. May he live in health, may he live forever, may he be given life, health, and power. And so why the Khartush is important? Because the Khartush is associated with the 30 kings. We know when these kings lived, so we can date the different things we get. And Khartush used to be written everywhere, so you can date the different things. Also, give us an idea, like we see, say, in Tutankhamun, different shifts in the mythology or the beliefs of the people and all of that.
That's part great.
And then an exercise to write your name in the Khartush. You wrote your name, you can do it yourself. And okay, now more, just something for you to think about. Actually, because the hieroglyphs was visual text, the Egyptians were really clever. They used to have what we call cryptographs. We discovered that recently. Like you would think this is a necklace. Well, not really, not only a necklace. Whose king is this one?
It looks to be like a Ra in it anyway. But is there a Ra?
Yeah, that's Ra.
Yeah.
And that's Khifr.
Khibr.
Khibro, Nef Khibro Ra.
Yeah.
Who's Nef Khibro Ra, remember? So that's Amun. When we read it,
Okay, yeah.
it's exactly the same, the one we read before, of the king, which is really fashionable when you have your name on a necklace nowadays.
that's right.
They have it.
He says it's funny to carry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
So that's one. The other one is this one. It's a statue, but actually it's the name of Ra Mrs. the second. Because this is this, which means the son,
yeah.
Mes, or born, Mes, Ra.
Yeah.
Ra Mrs. That's how it
On the Ramses.
Ramses the second. That's Ramses the second. And then applications. Actually, we had a client where we were doing a necklace seriously for her, and then we were trying to write her name. These are different ways to write the same name. What's the name? Can you get? Hua. This is Hua, similar to that. Hua. So that's Susan. So that's Susan. Then we wrote it this way. And the reason we wrote it this way because this sign represents royalty, and this sign represents protection.
Yeah.
So we chose specific signs to write the name, not only the unilateral sounds, we used the bilateral and to write it more professionally. And then you can end up with something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can end up with something like this. Actually, we are working now with this guy at Sunbury, a local jewelry shop, and trying to start a thing design the names and write them, and offer them in maybe silver or even in gold. Who is either interested? Now, this is the classical things which I've always found in the market, but we're trying to do something different. This one, the beauty of it, you can read it in both directions, wherever it is, and it is from silver, which is cheaper than that one. We may make it from metals as a keyring or as an attachment to a bag or something. This is a project we are working on, so stay alert. You have the details if you wish, if you are interested in this stuff. So that name is actually my name, Yusuf. So yeah, so that's Yusuf. And this is Patricia. What about this one? Rebecca.
Oh, Rebecca.
Rebecca. So, final thoughts. Why this matters? Because Egypt was the start of things. Like a lot of ideas we take for granted, a lot of innovations started in Egypt, as well as language. Like the name I mentioned before, Susan, comes from the word Sushan, which means lily or a flower, lily, a water flower. So even the English language is in debt to the old Egyptian language because many of the ideas. I'll give you an example. Like for instance, we say desert for the desert. Where does that word come from? Why is it desert in English? The etymology, the official one, doesn't recognize that because it stops at the Greek. They think that the European languages, they started with the Greek. No, they didn't. The Greek actually there from the Phoenicians and the Egyptians. This is why they copied their writing system. And then actually desert in old Egyptian is Tishret. And Tishret, and the translation from his to Ish is really common, like Shalom, Salam. Tishret has a meaning in old Egyptian language. Tishret means the red one. Because of the color of the sand, it was an opposite of the black land. The black land in Egypt is Kemet. Kemet is a black land, and that word gave us the name of Kemet itself, which is Old Egypt, as well as chemistry, alchemia, alchemist, chemistry, because Egypt was the center of kind of science for those ages. So the black land is Kemet, the red land is Tishret, which gave us the word desert.
Signifying it all in the story.
Yes, so it's a description of the geographical location. And many other examples, but we'll take those two for now. Paper as well. I mentioned the word top, which is actually the head in Egyptian. Also some other inventions or products like gum, ivory, and then they may explain some funny stuff. Like for instance, why the sodium is in A in the periodical system, the periodical table.
Chemical.
Because it's the old name of sodium chemicals is natron, because it was the salt used in mummifying. So this is where the Na comes from. It wasn't SO or S, it is Na because it comes from natron. Same thing with potassium. Why it's K? Because it comes from kali or kali, which gives us alkali, which comes with the Al. The pronounced, not an Arabic one, but that gives us an idea how much we are interconnected and dependent on each other. So that was the Ladal thoughts, and congratulations, you are now starting your journey as we can read a lot of things. And thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.